Okay, that's what I wanted. Hey everybody, hi. I look a fright. I think I say that every time, probably. Tonight it's really true. But who cares? I'm here, you're here. You know, I told a friend of mine today that my family up at our house, we've got a New Yorker cartoon, clipped out and put on the fridge. And it's an old one, like when email was like still kind of new. And there's this woman walking past a store window. She's walking on the sidewalk and she's thinking to herself, should I obsessively check my email or my appearance? We think it's pretty funny. So, hey everybody, thank you for the subscriptions. This is so cool. Thank you so much. Fiandor, hang on, I've got a new handy way to look at all that. 1, 2, 6, 7, 8. Okay, hang on. Okay, so Nikki's Crafted Life, that's awesome. You subscribed a couple days ago, actually, and I can see that. Paradise Moon subscribed. It's so great and followed. And who just Joyous Fibers resubscribed you've been subscribed for 6 months. That's so great. I'm excited to talk about the logo tonight. We have our first draft back from Rohan. Oh, Rohan, he's so good. And so we're going to talk about it, and I'm going to run a poll. We did a hype train. That's so awesome. Yay! And also, thanks everybody. That is very cool. A hype train feels really good. And M. Hicks, thank you for resubscribing. You've been subscribed for 3 months. I appreciate you. Jill Alex resubscribed with Prime. If you've never subscribed to this show, or if you didn't know, you can subscribe for free. If you're an Amazon Prime member, you get a Twitch subscription every month for free. And so you can use it on this show. And one of my mods, thank you mods, I appreciate you very much. You can maybe fill somebody in on how to do that, because it's not like the easiest thing, because, Jeff Bezos. But, so you have to do it each month. You have to be, it's the 1st of the month, or it's the 12th of the month. I gotta do my little Twitch thing, because I don't want to miss the show. So you can subscribe for free. The show is always free. Always. In fact, my mom is giving a talk tonight. Hey, Fiandor, thank you for resubscribing. And Pemberito cheered. And F of B minus F of A, I love it. It sounds like algebra. I don't really know what it means, but I'm glad you're here and I'm glad you're following. The show is pretty fun, we think. And Word and Bird Nerd gave out a community sub-gift. I wonder who you gave it to. I gotta check my other thing, my other screen, to see what happened. Everything's happening. So, no, I don't want to open Zoom. What's happening? So here's the thing. What was the thing? I don't know. Oh, yeah. You don't have to ever subscribe. You don't have to. But O-Mouse just did, because she got a gift from Stephanie Cake. That's so great. Thanks, everybody. This is great. I felt like Sweet says you renew your subscription on the 19th. I like your organization, sir. So it's always free, but if you subscribe, you get some perks. Like I'm going to give a quilt away at 200 subscribers, and we're close. I mean, we kind of like dance. We're kind of dancing at this level right now, and that's fine. That's fine. It's good. I'm grateful for every subscriber I have. That is the truth. So when we get there, all subscribers will be entered to win a really amazing quilt from Quilts for Kids Nepal. So I don't talk about the giveaway every show and like show the quilt I'm giving away, because I don't want it to get too repetitive, but very soon, this week at some point, I will share about that quilt and talk to you about that. But you can visit Quilts for Kids. Hey, thanks, Humphrey. AFB Humphrey. I appreciate you following. That's great. I hope you enjoy the show. And so, so if you subscribe, you don't have to watch ads. You get to be entered into the drawings. You can get invited to our disco, which is the Discord. And we have a lot of good fun over there. Good fun. We have good fun. We have all kinds of fun. You don't know until you join. That's the thing. I'm a little warm, but I don't know. I don't know. The outfit, the old sweater. I don't know. I feel like I need a little flair. I'll calm down once the show gets going. So, hey, Padma. Okay, Padma says, shouldn't the subscription count that appears at the bottom of the screen say out of 200? It always says 185. It's true. So the goal is 200, but I mean, they say you should like have a goal that's within 10 subscriptions. of like where you are. Like, yeah, I should change it. Like I want us to get to 185, you know, and that seems like doable. It's a psychology thing. It's like people are like, hey, we can get to 185. And then once you get to 185, it's like, hey, we can get to 200. So it might be a little bit confusing, but I guess I'm setting like a reachable goal of 185 and then like a stretch goal of 200. I'm amazed we have 200, you know, close to 200 subscribers. I mean, nobody used Twitch before this, and I love it, and people are enjoying the show, and that's all I wanted. That's all I wanted. I wanted to share the stuff that I learn about quilts as fast as possible. So that's why I'm here, and I think that's why you're here too, because the community we're creating is pretty awesome. So I'm going to say hi to some folks, and then we're going to get into the content. I always start with a different quilt behind me. Tonight's quilt is very famous. It's a very famous quilt. And if you've never seen the show, we nerd out about quilts. We talk about quilts that are older. We talk about quilts that are brand new. We talk about quilts that are art. What does that even mean? Isn't a quilt art? I don't know. Is it craft? What does that even mean? And how many quilters are there now? Are people actually still quilting? Is it your grandmother that's quilting, or is it your sister that's quilting, or maybe your brother that's quilting? It's all of those people, and those people are creating amazing things. And the people who were creating amazing things a long time ago, who aren't with us anymore, a lot of what they created is with us still in museums or in personal collections, or bouncing around maybe in your house, or bouncing around in a museum. And so we look at all that stuff and we analyze it, but we mostly just nerd out about it, which means that we get excited. We look at it and like try to figure out how they made it. Because some people who watch this show make quilts, but some people don't. And some people are like official historians. I'm not. I'm a fan of history, and I'm proud to be a fan of history. And so, yeah, we just like them because, and then I will start saying hi to people, I promise. But the thing is that quilts are a pathway to the world. You can learn about anything when you start looking at quilts, because humans make them, and they've made them for a really long time. And depending on where they were when they made them and who they were or who they are, you learn about those people and that place and that time, and color and design and hardship and America, you know, and the whole wide world. So the Quilt Nerd show is like, I don't know, it's about life, man. It is. We just have a good time, and we learn about a lot of different stuff. I mean, get ready, just buckle up. You didn't think you had to buckle up for a quilt show. Well, you do. And we're going for a sub goal. So if you haven't subscribed, I think you should give it a try. You know what I mean? Give it a try. See if it's worth $4.99 a month. And tonight we have the first sketches for the logo, the official Quilt Nerd logo. I thought I better make a show before I made a logo, you know, just to see if it's going to work. And once we get the logo finished, merch, people, merch. And that means when you're a subscriber, you're going to get something. You're going to get some kind of merch. But I can't just send you a pencil. You know, I got to send you a pencil that's like an official Quilt Nerd logoed pencil. You know what I'm saying? Baby steps. You got to do one thing at a time. It's crack up. Okay, Robin's Nest and Word and Bird Nerd, we were chatting earlier. Quilting Politic, good evening. Sandy Tries. Penny Catherine and Bip. Bip, we were talking. No, Pen Burrito and I were talking about the contact list. We were working on that. Padma, hello. And east of the Mississippi has been rough. Word and Bird Nerd, that's weather, right? I've been like on calls all day. I have not looked at what's going on in the world. Robin's Nest said, here in Reno, our wild weather was yesterday. High winds and blizzard conditions in Reno? That's crazy. Well, it's crazy, but it's not, you know, it's not a light topic. I hope that everybody's okay. Hey, Pem. Grover. Oh, Anne's here. And Anne had a question about connecting Twitch to Amazon Prime. I mean, nobody's like, you know, well, the people who've been here a while are getting pretty good at all this, but we're all still new at it. Stitch and Deb, hey, M. Sue John, hello. Joyous Fibers, Tawny, so glad you're here. Christine is here, and Mother Nature. Dee Marie, God bless you. I just love you. Oh, Dee Marie's got a great a great description up top in the chat about how to subscribe through Amazon Prime. Dee Marie, have we talked about having you be a mod? You're not on the spot. Just email me or something later. I mean, you do great work. It's really wonderful to have mods who help me out with that stuff. So in Karen, you're watching the weather in Omaha. Yeah, SJ Pepper. Oh no. SJ, we've got to get the other siren back because it was more alarming. I feel like the original siren was alarming. It was siren-y. SJ Pepper's trouble. When SJ Pepper's here, she's my like sidekick. You're my Ed McMahon to my Johnny Carson. And you're really funny. Like, you're genuinely funny. But I don't want to encourage you. You'll see. Robinson, okay, and then I find it easier, by the way, I know I'm really catching up, but Tani Joyous Fiber says, regarding Prime, I find it easier to do it the day after your sub expires. Interesting. Because when you log into Yo Mary Fons, the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/YoMaryFons, says Joyous Fibers, there's a subscribe link. Hit that button and click the subscribe with Prime box. Voila. That's great. So let it, do it through like April 11th, and then on the 12th, just go to my Twitch page where you are right now, and then click subscribe with Prime. That is an excellent tip. I love it. M. Hicks and Felt Like Sweets and Sonia. Things are well. I'm worried about this weather. People are talking about. Penny Catherine. Out of chips tonight. Truffles will have to do. Now, I don't know what sound effect to play, but I like my soundboard. Fiandor, thanks for the tunes. Jill Alex and Sonia got her issue of Quilt Folk today. Looks good. Hell yeah, looks good. Sorry. Asking about Patchwork and Prose. I had a great time on that show last week. I don't want to miss anybody, but if I do, it's So Demented and Hootsie. You're not late. You're right on time. If I miss you, it is not because I'm like... I just, we gotta keep it pushing. Cindy Mack, Susan Armichael, the gang's all here. I just love you guys. L Riggs, I sent you a message on Discord. Please read it. Please read it. Stitch and Deb and the Flinster Hype Train. I know, it's so great. Okay, Earth Girl Now. You loved the art on Saturday. I am so glad because. Oh yeah, I'm really behind. I gotta just make sure I say hey to everybody. Yes. So I'm gonna get ahead. It's been snowing in Portland, M. Hicks says. That's wild. Hey, Stephanie Cake. And so, yeah, the other siren is a good idea. Popping champagne bottle sound effect. Approved. Sound effects. Popping champagne. That's great, and that's a really quick one. So we don't have the graduation song. No. The graduation song was always a little bit long, so maybe losing my hard drive is okay. Popping champers, as we call it around here. So there's just a couple announcements, and one of them is the logo thing, so that's kind of its own thing. But just so you know, Quilters Newsletter Friday was not... We skipped a week, okay? So Quilters Newsletter Friday is next week. Instead of because I did the art expo thing sort of as the extra show this past week. It did not go how I wanted it to go. Pardon me. Got a chip in my throat. It didn't go how I wanted it to go, but it's okay. And we put a lot of effort into that. So I felt like, anyway, so Quilters Newsletter Friday is next week on Friday night at 7 p.m. And Quilters Newsletter Friday, it's what it sounds like. There's a really great magazine that is no more. It's Quilters Newsletter. And we read old issues of the magazine together, one every other week. And I'm thinking, I looked at a few. Bip sent me a nice pile. I'm going to send them back. I've got them all in that FedEx envelope he sent me. And I think I'm going to pick from that stack. But Quilters Newsletter was going since, from 1969 until, 2012 or something. I don't know. I don't want to say that wrong. But last decade they shut it down. But it's really interesting to go back and read these issues of a quilt magazine that are decades old, 40 years old or more. And so we read them together. I scan them in. We hang out. It's Friday night. It's pretty chill. It's a different format for the show. And Hootsie, very nice work. very nice work. Yeah. You just mentioned AQSG, and that is one of the announcements we have tonight. So next week, on Friday, April 22nd at 7 p.m., Quilters Newsletter Friday. I hope you join us. It's chill, very cool, it's fun. And the other announcement, and then we go into the logo, is that I have a coupon code for you. Yes, I worked with AQSG, which is the American Quilt Study Group. And let me just grab something. Hang on. Let me grab something that's not green, or it will not show up on the thing. Hang on. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. So the American Quilt Study Group, you know, a lot of times on this show, like I'll read something from Uncoverings, and Uncoverings is their annual journal. It's the study, the research papers that have been peer reviewed by the AQSG folks who are very smart and erudite and learned, and about quilts, right? That's their main thing. Some of them are experts in other textiles and so forth, but they're in this organization, and they're smarty pants. They're farty smarties. Sorry, God, please no one tell anybody that I just called them smarty pants. Anyway, they are, but they're great, and the membership is $75 a year for a friend membership level. And for $75 a year, you get Uncoverings. You get a copy of Uncoverings. That's so cool, because these papers that they write are amazing. Like, if you're here on this show, you're a nerd. You know, you're like into quilts enough that like you'd be very interested in getting Uncoverings. And by the way, a lot of people, hey, thanks, Robin's Nest. Oh, there's my mod. Doing the hookup. SJ says, is the study group only studying American quilts, or is it just Americans in the study group and they study all quilts? That is an excellent, oh my God, that is a very good question. Oh, wow. Now, wait a minute now. I josh with you. We have fun with SJ Pepper. But this is actually a very good question. It's zen. It's deep. I mean, the studies that they do of the quilts, I mean, you remember the Vintas, the sails, the beautiful patchwork sails from the Philippines that we looked at? That I found when I was looking through an issue of Uncoverings from the American Quilt Study Group. So no, they study quilts from all over. Are they all Americans? Note to self. Check to see if AQ, SG, I know they're not exclusive. SJ, if you are living somewhere else right now, if you're an expat, where would you be an expat? I don't know, somewhere great. I'm sure you can join, but this is a very good question, actually. I never thought about it. So Uncoverings, and you also get Blanket Statements, which is their newsletter. And I've talked to you all. Hey, honey. Oh, Eric, my husband's on the chat. I'm so happy. I've talked to you all about, you're so nerdy and you love quilts so much and you have wonderful questions, and we talk about things on the show that you really get excited about. And, it's like you can research stuff and write things. You don't have to have a degree. If you do the right, research, the proper research, and you can get a mentor. If you're in AQSG, you can get a mentor to help you. You don't have to go all out and be like, I'm going to write a study paper that's researched and peer reviewed. Some of you could. But you can also do something for Blanket Statements, which is the newsletter. It can be a shorter piece, and that comes by email or by mail, whichever you would like. You also get early notice to go to seminar, and seminar happens this year in October in San Jose. I am going, and I think Molly is going, because we submitted an idea for a poster presentation. It's kind of like a science fair where you bring research in a poster form. I can't wait. And so we're going to talk about that idea that came on this show, and Molly and I met on this show. And it is about that third revival idea that, can the momentum and the excitement and the stuff that's happening in the quilt world today, Modern Quilt Guild, fashion and art, all these quilts in fine art museums, is that really still because of the quilt revival 50 years ago when my mom was doing stuff? Or is there a third wave happening? Molly and I, and all of you, think that there's probably a third wave. So we submitted this thing to the AQSG folks, and they approved us doing a poster presentation, which is just kind of like, hey, we're working on this thing. Could you give us feedback? Anyway, there's a lot of good reasons to join. And may I just say, very pointedly, that one of the things that like Molly and me and some of the other folks who belong to that organization, and I have belonged and then let it lapse, and I was a bad member, and I was an editor of a magazine, and I just, we would like to make sure, that we reach out, right, to people that don't know about AQSG. I think the organization could really do with a lot of other perspectives that are not represented. I think we could take care to do that sort of, outreach, but also just making programming that just sounds great to everybody so people aren't intimidated. So, the board approved a Quilt Nerd coupon code, and it is Quilt Nerd 15. And Quilt Nerd 15 will get you $15, not 15%, $15 off your membership for AQSG. So it's $75 for a friend. Okay, 5Z, you're approved. $15 off a $75 membership, which makes it $60. And I think that's not bad. I mean, I can't give them out free. Half price is like, that's a lot. But nobody else is getting this, and that's the truth. Now, coupon codes are new. So, we pitched this. And they said yes, and they had to take it to the board. I mean, so if that is appealing to you, SJ Pepper lives in California. Interesting. Making a note. San Jose, October. Meet me there. Have a drink. On me at AQSG. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I'm sure there's a bar. We could find one. Anyone from AQSG who's watching is like, our organization is going to seed with Mary Fons around. No, I have a 50-member goal. It's my goal. Before a seminar, I'm going to get 50 people to join this organization. Damn it. We come on now. We're quilt nerds. We ought to belong to AQSG, and we ought to be active. Bridgewater in VA. No, the quilt looks like Yo Mary Fons is imparting her wisdom on the world. Oh, no. That's I have very little. I have very little wisdom. I have some, but it could fit in a thimble, if you will. That was my little sewing joke. So anyway, I owe a quilted wave on the poster. So Elriggs asks, can you go to the conference to just nerd out and listen? It's a very good question. There is a cap on how many people can attend seminar, and it's 400. Now, I asked on a membership committee meeting the other day, why is there a limit? Because it sounds like the more the merrier to me would be really good. But the reason that there's a limit is because if you buy a ticket to seminar, you should be able to go to all the talks and the auction. You know how I have so many books in my collection? I mentioned this to you, that there's an auction every year to raise money. And this wonderful lady, Eleanor Malone, who was part of AQSG, she passed away. And all of her books, my mom bid on her library. And she won, and that's how I have all these books. So that happened at AQSG seminar. But they only, the rooms that they can rent for these events, they're only so big. So they don't want anybody buying a ticket to seminar if they can't get into like the dinner on Saturday night. So it's another reason to join. Now, with this coupon code, which lasts through the end of next month. So if you want to go to the seminar, you get a ticket. Wouldn't it be amazing if like the quilt nerds who had never been to seminar and were new members like flooded into seminar? I don't know what's going to happen. Okay. How many in the membership now, Miss Eleni? I believe it's about 800 people. Jill Alex is off to sign up. Yes. Thank you so much. I think that's awesome. We're going to have a good time. Oh, sorry. San Diego. Did I say San Jose? Yes, it's San Diego. I'm so sorry. That was wrong. It's San Diego. It's in October. Giant thimble cups. Can we get some, you know what? That's a good merch idea. Thimble cups. And now let's move on to the logo because I've been going on. But this is a very cool thing that it's just for nerds. So Quilt Nerd 15 through the end of next month. I think boofed is what you'd be, SJ. Booted. Oh, San Diego's 5 hours closer to you. Listen, even if you don't do the AQSG thing, SJ Pepper. Oh wait, 5 hours. That's terrible. We can't. I mean, you can come over and hang out if you want, but 5 hours is a long time to drive. Okay, I'm gonna get small. Oh wait, yeah, okay, because I got to talk about the quilt behind me, and then we'll talk about the logo, okay? Because if people came to see quilts, I want to give them quilts. We all came to see quilts, but like we've chatted a lot. You know what I'm saying? I got to be a responsible host. So we're going to talk about this, and then we'll talk about the logo, and we're going to have a poll to see what you all like, because I really want to know. And it's just the first pass. But here we go. So this quilt is very famous. This is a famous quilt, partly because, oh yeah, Jill Alex. Sorry, this is good. So, oh, okay, SJ, you can do this. I'll send a car to pick you up. Jill Alex says, Quilt Nerd still isn't in the How Did You Hear About Us tab. Yeah, Well, yeah, Well, oh, you know what, Jill? If you use the coupon, that's how we'll know. I didn't think about that until you asked that, but that's how we'll know. Because they'll see, like, you know, that this person used this coupon and it's Quilt Nerd, so it'll tag it, if you will. SJ, I only came to eat chips and be distracting in the chat. The quilts are a bonus. I thought you were going to say the quilts are boring. I know you wouldn't say that. So here's one of the reasons this quilt is famous. Look at this. Hang on now. The first time I saw this quilt was on the cover of this particular book, which is one of the first quilt documentation books that was published. I'm pretty sure it's certainly one of the first ones that I saw. And I can tell you that the Kentucky Quilt Project and the Tennessee, so remember that in the 80s and the 90s and into the 2000s, and I believe Beth Donaldson at Michigan, MSU, told me that quilt documentation projects are indeed still happening. I need to know more about that. I don't know much about that. But I know that in the 80s and 90s in particular, there was just this flood of quilt documentation projects where people in every state, it was a grassroots thing. And they got together and people brought their quilts, you know, to these quilt days, quilt documentation days. And, oh yeah, you're getting a book, Charles. Hang on one second, and I've got an affiliate link for you for this one. But people would bring their quilts and they would record them. You know, people who were in charge of the documentation day would record the quilts and who made them, and if it was known and so forth, because there were all these wonderful quilts in America, and like what was happening to them and where were they going, and this was history, women's history, American history, and without this sort of grassroots project happening, a lot of our history would be gone. I mean, it really would be. And so it was amazing. And so Kentucky and Tennessee, from what I understand, there's a little bit of a rivalry going on between like who did what when and so forth. So, but this is a really great book, and we'll look into it more. We'll talk about Kentucky quilts, of course. The show will be on for a long time because there's so much to talk about. But this quilt that I used for the intro tonight is the quilt on the cover of that book. Now, I found a good image of this quilt, which I'm showing you now, in a catalog, a museum catalog. It's got green on it, so it's gonna, well, it doesn't look too bad. Heritage of Genius, American Master Quilts Past and Present. I looked to see if you could get this on Abe Books. You cannot. It doesn't have an ISBN. It's an exhibit catalog from November 29th, 2001. And it's interesting. Look, it's interesting. So, Heritage of Genius, American Master Quilts. Look, an exhibition in 3 Midtown lobbies, New York City. So, I mean, how cool is that? It was this place, you know, a 3-location exhibit. I see you, SJ Pepper. That was, you know, in New York City in 3 different places. And what's interesting, that's right after September 11th, isn't it? So that's, what a time in New York City, right? I mean, wow. So Shelley Ziegard and Eleanor Bingham Miller and L.L. Powers were the curators. So there's more to say. It's an amazing exhibit catalog. I'll just show it to you at some point. But for now, this quilt is called the Kentucky Sun. And we know who made it. I mean, have you ever seen a quilt like this? Can we just start there? Oh my God. Isn't it amazing? Okay, Jill, that's good. Put friend for how you heard about it if you use the AQSG code Quilt Nerd 15 to get $15 off a membership, a year-long membership. Select friend for how you heard about it. Thank you, L. Riggs. Appreciate you. So Nancy Miller Grider made this. She was from Russell, Kentucky. She made it around 1900. It is wool. It is a wool quilt, 75 by 62. And here's what they have to say about this quilt. Yeah, I know. It's so great. Possibly influenced by Cherokee Indian designs, familiar to the maker. Now, I don't know what documentation or substantiation they have for that. I have no idea. They don't reference that, but this is what they say in this. Possibly influenced by Cherokee Indian designs familiar to the maker, this free and exuberant creation uses the whole surface in a very painterly manner. This quilt is the signature quilt for the Kentucky Quilt Project. There you go. The Kentucky Quilt Project, Inc., the first of the state documentation projects begun in 1981. Well, let's see what Tennessee has to say about that. The template must have been the size of the entire quilt. No individual blocks are involved. This complicated, unusual design was put together the way an artist paints a picture as a cohesive whole, not as a series of connecting pieces. Wherever did she start? There is no clear middle, no subtle underlying pattern to give us a clue. From the collection of the Kentucky Quilt Project, Inc., former collection of Ida B. Waltz, descendant of the maker. Interesting, isn't it? Looks like natural dyes. From beets and bloodroot plants, yes. Penny Catherine says, I'm not an orange or brown person, but this is so cool. I mean, totally. It's really special. It's a really special quilt. And you know, when we look at it, it's like, I mean, how did we... Oh, I have to remember to tell you one other thing, tech-wise. But when I look at this, you know, it's like, well, who says she used a pattern at all? Like, it's improvisationally pieced, you know. But it's true that, like, that fan, that medallion in the middle, that central point of focus, I mean, you can't do a curve like that without some kind of plan, right? I mean, you have to sketch a thing out a little. It's not completely improvisationally pieced. There's a starburst, a sunburst in the middle. And so it really is like no other quilt I've ever seen. Hey, nice! M. Hicks, another new Quilt Nerd member of AQSG. Yes! I wonder how many we get tonight. And it's through the end of next month. So if you're like, I don't know what I'm going to do, you know, let's see. I already subscribed to Quilt Nerd. Mary's like tapping me out. But that's wonderful. Thank you very much, M. Hicks. It's worth it. It's not like you're spending more money on this show. You're spending, you know, money on your quilt nerdery, which is important. It's important. I mean, I think it's good. Padma says, on AQSG, I chose senior as the category for 65 and no opportunity to put in a coupon code comes up. I will go back and choose friend and see if that changes. Good to know. So, Padma, I thought you were like 20 years old. I'm serious. You can't, you're going to laugh, but I really thought you were like, you know, a spring chicken. But you are. I mean, you are. I just it's funny. Okay. So, 65 senior, and you can't do a $15 discount. Interesting. This is the first time they've ever done anything like this. It's the first time they've ever had a coupon code. So there might be little things to work out, and that sounds like one of them. Thank you. All of that feedback is really good. Okay. The gray pieces are planned also. Yes. Excellent, Miss Elaney. So true. The gray pieces make this cross in the middle. I mean, that was very deliberate. Yeah, interesting. You're an old chicken. Padma's an old chicken. An old chicken. Okay, so that's that. And the affiliate link actually will be quiltnerd.link/Kentucky. But that's the only one that isn't live yet. The other two I have for you tonight are live. I'm an Abe Books affiliate member. So all the books I talk about on this show are old and out of print most of the time. I'm going to make myself go away because I'm hiding one of these logos. Okay. By the way, I just want to tell you, we are going to talk about this woman tonight briefly because it is a very big deal. It is a very big deal. Here's a teaser. April 5th, just a week ago, for immediate release, San Jose Museum of Quilts and Textiles announces the appointment of new director Camille Brewer. She's the new director of the San Jose Museum of Quilts and Textiles. This is huge. I mean, it's huge. It's so fabulous. They have a new director, and this woman is amazing. She's amazing. So I found that, and I was like, So we're going to talk about her. We're going to read the press release, and I'm going to show you a couple things about her, and she's amazing. So we're going to talk about that, and then our main event tonight is Yvonne Porcella. I asked Mom how to say her name because I thought it was Porcella, but it's Porcella. And can I just look at what's going to happen to you? Yeah. Very good. It's very good. Okay? So that's what's going to happen. But this is a pretty exciting moment because we don't have a logo for this show. And as I mentioned, I kind of thought, I got to hide the chat too. Hey, So on Positive Threads. Hi. Bonnie Kane. Oh, I would love to. I would love to go to the San Jose Museum of Quilts and Textiles. That's why I said San Jose for seminar. That's why. Because I was thinking of San Jose. AQSG seminar is in San Diego. So, okay. So we don't have a logo yet because, they're expensive and, we don't rush these things. So this is the very first thing that I've gotten from Rohan McDonald, the brilliant graphic designer who I worked with at SAIC when I was in grad school on the school paper. And yes, Bonnie Kane, yes, Camille has been around since you started quilting. Camille's curriculum vitae is amazing, and she's a really interesting person. So I got to, Rohan and I discussed, I told him about the show. He's seen the show. Who knows? Maybe he's tuning in right now. I told him, I was like, I want to share the sketches on the show tonight. So he does work that's very clean. He does work that's very smart and approachable. So I told him about, what I was thinking and, glasses and nerd stuff. And one thing I want to tell you about the logo, because I'm going to do, I know, Charles. Hey, it's okay. Hi. He's very good. Oh, you met Yvonne. Yeah, Bonnie. Yeah. And Camille is really interesting too. I mean, but I absolutely agree with you about Yvonne as well. So, Rohan McDonald is his name. And if you can Google him and find him, he's this young guy. He's so great. And I told him, one of the things, let me just pop on here. Well, no, I'm not going to come on screen. I want you to look at these logos. So, and this is the first pass, so none of these are final. Obviously, we don't have color yet. But one of the challenges in making a logo for a quilt-related endeavor is that if you think about it, let me be honest. I've seen a lot of logos for quilt stuff because to me, in my opinion, the problem is that you have a patchwork logo, like any logo that involves patchwork. The problem is that to really understand, to communicate patchwork, you need a high contrast. You need something that's high contrast, like black and white checkered, or blue and white, or red and white. But if you have high contrast, text does not read over that, because you have the highest and lowest contrast, but words don't look good on top of patchwork, and you can do low volume patchwork, but then what am I looking at? Does that make sense? So when I've seen logos that have blocky patchwork things or triangles or something, and then text underneath, it just doesn't appeal to me. So I was thinking about Girl Scout patches and Boy Scout patches. And I was thinking about glasses because we're nerds. And of course, we need to have a quilt element, of course. But how can we make it work in a way that isn't isn't meh. So let me look up at what you're saying. Oh, God. You know what? I mean, my Victoria Beckham glasses, he didn't know about that, but it's like he did. Yeah. L. Riggs loves the simplicity. You like the glasses, but maybe square instead of round. Round is too Harry Potter. Interesting. Very good. I'm going to like take screenshots of like this entire conversation. Okay. Now to add color. Yes, you love several of these. I'm going to get a poll going. Actually, let me start that now so we can be looking at these and making this poll. New poll. Okay. So I am going to put here, I'm going to make the choices. Okay, which logo draft do you like most? I'll put most because then we'll see. So I'm gonna make the choices. Hang on, I'm gonna make the choices. I looked at this before because I only have 5 choices to give you, so I have to be judicious about them. But I know how to do it. So 1, 2, and 6, 7, 8 because I think, and I'll tell you why, 7 and 8. Okay. We're going to have the poll go 10 minutes. Okay? Poll created. Now, the poll will be up at the top of the chat. It should be up at the top of the chat right now. So you can vote using your little mouse. Just go up to the top of the chat and click that, which logo draft, It should be pretty straightforward. So Demented, you joined AQSG. That's so great. That's so great. And so Demented, one thing that I'm going to work on is making that process quicker. There are 9 steps, I think. They're not arduous, but there's a lot. And so that's one of my things I want to do is make it really easy to do that. Okay, so I've got the options I have for you to choose from are, I'll tell you why. 1, because there's this different shape to it, this kind of shield shape. And it's also very simple. And that's good. 2, I think is sort of lovely because it's this sort of globe, the way the quilt is like the sash around it. I think that's interesting. And 3 is similar to it, so it's like, okay. 4 is kind of similar in simplicity to 1, so I left that one out. I put kind of 5 and 8 together because they're similar. So I can get a sense of, do you like this idea of the book opening up and a page of the book is a quilt? Just kind of get a sense of that. And then I thought 6 and 7 would be good to put there because the little bit I looked at on the disco earlier, 7 was getting some love. And I have to say, I don't know. I have lots of thoughts. But 6 I thought was pretty sweet too, the way, I don't know. Like those are, let's choose between those. Interesting. Very interesting what's happening. So you've got up to, you got 10 minutes to vote. Whatever you really feel, I want you to vote that way. Don't be swayed by anybody else because I really want to know what you're thinking about all this. And the glasses can change shape. The patchwork that's included doesn't have to be a diamond, There's a lot of stuff. That can be worked on. But when I told Rohan about what I was thinking, I showed him a big folder of inspiration. He just completely nailed it. I mean, this is what we love our artists for, and why we have to support our artists and help them live. Okay. Oh yeah, I've got to take screenshots of all of this chat because I want to get all of your feedback. Okay. It's a tough assignment. Listen, I mean, what I've been trying to I don't even know what to do. I mean, I've been giving people information about the show, and I just put my little Heart Plus logo and my face and come to Quilt Nerd. It's terrible. I don't know what to do for a logo. So he's so good. Hey, Beverly's Butter. It's so good to see you. I'm so glad you're here. It's great. I'm so glad you're here. Myra's here too. Myra, I hope that you're thinking about this logo. And Linda Arp, I'm so glad you're here. That's great. Linda likes 1. It's a very simple thing. And the glasses, as you can see in number 1, they have this quilt block in them. And that could be something very different. It could be a different quilt block. Does the quilt block really read? right then. If I tell Rohan, people really like number 1, but they don't know that the quilt block idea in the glasses is really clear enough, that guy is going to go back and he's going to make it clearer. He's just that good. Jill signed up for AQSG. I love it. Okay, Charles thought the book was a door. Yeah, okay, so I could say to Rohan, make the book a little more booky. Because the way the quilt is coming out, it's coming out of a book. Because I told him, I'm like, we're books, we're quilts, we're nerds. Give me a Girl Scout patch, a Boy Scout patch. And, it's like, and he's like, cool. I'll see you in a couple weeks. Myra loves number 1. I haven't even looked at the poll right now. Oh, wow. Interesting. So interesting. Now, I have to say, I got to vote. I have to say that, it's your logo. That's the thing. You have to like it. I got to take pictures of all this stuff. You have to like it. It's the logo for the show. But, if 2 wins and I'm like, I don't know, I really feel 3 in my heart, you got to trust me. But right now, the way the poll looks, I think we're interesting. Okay, this is interesting. M. Hicks says, works on many levels. It looks like a quilt around the world, and we study quilts from around the world. It also resembles a Q. Oh, God. No. No Q. Oh, God. No Q. You have to be careful of that. Turkey red. Joyous Fibers says turkey red needs to be part of the color 1,000%. That's actually a very important point. Turkey red has to be part of the color. Well, I love a red. 2. Okay. Book could be larger, overlapping the inner circle. Okay. I'm taking my screenshots. I like number 2 for your number 2 choice. Yeah, I didn't give you guys a runner-up. I don't know how to do that on a poll. Could you have a world map on number 8? Okay, I'm just taking pictures. Theodore. The use may influence. Regular shapes would translate to pins, etc. Many of the others would require more expensive die cut. Well done. Remember the graduation song, the nerd song? You get that because you're absolutely right. One of the things that Rohan asked me, and I think how much time is left on the poll, and then we'll move on. But one of the things he asked me was, what are you going to use this for? Obviously a graphic designer wants to know that. And so I was like, well, merch. He said, are you going to print things? I was like, oh yeah. Handing out little cards, at things, and I want a logo for the show to put on the screen, And so he wrote all that down. And so, but you're right, Fyodor, what are we using this for? And yeah, some of those die cuts are going to be pretty complicated. I don't know much about that, but you're right. Poison green. Poison green, Charles. Poison green. Quilt Nerd Pemberito. Quilt Nerd text may be bigger on 2 or 8. Love. Okay. Love the circle wrap of number 8. Blocks coming out of the book. Glasses very Harry Potter. Everybody's saying make them a little less hairy. Sensitive to giving the designer too many design ideas, says L. Riggs. But log cabins are awesome blocks. Oh, that's good. And they're so quilt, right? There's just no denying what that is. That's interesting. Number 8 could be a world map for larger logos, but would need to go away for smaller size logos. I know. That's true. The smaller you get, the more crazy it can be. SJ says, I give it 6 months before someone makes one of those laser cut applique kits. Yes. I am sure that would be amazing. Okay. So Demented, I have 2 versions of my logo for different purposes. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to end the poll. I think that is okay because I do want to move on. And I think that if you haven't voted yet, you better vote right now. The time's a ticking. I'm going to end the poll. I'm going to give you 1, 2. I'm going to give it to 5, 3, 4, 5. End poll. View results. Number 8. You guys, number 8. I don't know. Can you see? Hold on. Can you see the results on your screen? Yeah, you can. You can see the results, right? Hold on. Yeah. You see that number 8 won. Okay. Yep. Not one of the choices, Padma says, but I suggested on the disco to use the undefined animal aardvark that is a Twitch emote. I know. I was afraid that it was too inside baseball, that like it might be like we would get it. Like maybe there's like secret merch. So, okay. You wish it had the glasses. Okay, see, wait a minute. Let me take screenshots of all of this. Okay. Hey, Threadist. We just took a look at these logo drafts. They're all drafts. Okay. So, thank you. I recorded your thoughts, your feelings, and I appreciate all the feedback. It's really great. That's really, really good to know, and it's going to be good. And I'm giving Rohan feedback on Thursday because I told him it'd be great to have the logo done by the end of April. So that's what we're working toward. And as soon as we have that, sweatshirts perhaps. Okay. Woo! Earth Girl Now. Quilt is smaller than Nerd. Interesting. We're looking at logos. Threadist, by the way, the logos are in the logo image that you saw is in the disco, which I think you're on that, right? Yeah. Okay, so here's what this is. It's a brief. It's very important. This is a big deal in the quilt world. It's exciting. So this, you're looking at a picture of Camille Brewer, and there was a press release that came out on April 5th, and I just saw it today. And it was from Paula Keinert, the interim director of the San Jose Museum of Quilts and Textiles. Because there's a San Jose Museum of Quilts and Textiles, which is pretty awesome. San Jose, for immediate release. San Jose Museum of Quilts and Textiles announces appointment of new director Camille Brewer. Brewer to join museum May 2nd, 2022. San Jose. Okay. The San Jose Museum of Quilts and Textiles, SJMQT, Board of Directors today announced its unanimous decision to appoint Camille Brewer as the new director of the museum. Ms. Brewer will shape the museum's vision and strategic direction and guide the museum's overall operations, including exhibitions and programs, collections, donor relations, and community engagement. Ms. Brewer brings extensive museum and art sector experience to the position. Tell me about it. I was reading about her. Oh my God. Having served as the curator of contemporary art for the George Washington University Museum and Textile Museum in Washington, D.C., and executive director for the Black Metropolis Research Consortium at the University of Chicago. Woo! Among her long list of accomplishments, she also owned and operated her own business, CAB Fine Art Limited, where she provided curatorial and consulting services for a host of academic, public, and private sector clients. Additionally, Ms. Brewer has served on grant panels for the National Endowment for the Arts and the Institute of Museum and Library Services, and she is an accomplished speaker and author. Quote, "We are thrilled we are able to attract someone of Camille's caliber to direct the museum," unquote, said board co-chair Melissa Leventon, who goes on, "Her depth of collections experience, textile knowledge, and fundraising success positions the museum well for the future," unquote. Board co-chair Tien Chu added, quote, "We considered several highly qualified candidates for the director position. Camille rose to the top with her strong vision for the future of the museum and how to get us there." Oh, that's the logo for the San Jose. I tried to find another one, but anyway. And Camille says, quote, "I am excited to begin this opportunity with the museum in my home state of California. My professional and personal passion resides in the textile arts, and I'm thrilled to work with the museum's board of directors and staff to build a thriving museum in the Bay Area," says Ms. Brewer, unquote. Ms. Brewer holds a Master of Library and Information Science from Valdosta State University in Georgia, a Master of Fine Art in Textile Design from the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, Michigan, and a Bachelor of Fine Art with distinction from California College of the Arts, San Francisco, California. Ms. Brewer was selected following a national executive search process led by Arts Consulting Group, ACG, and then founded in 1977, the San Jose Museum. Oh, I just love this. I love this picture of her. And this was at SAIC, by the way, my alma mater. Founded in 1977, SJMQT is celebrating its 45th anniversary of groundbreaking quilt and textile exhibitions and programs, located in the thriving South First area, SOFA, section of San Jose. The museum is one of several arts institutions co-anchoring this special arts, culture, and entertainment district, showcasing an extensive range of artistic expression. For more information, visit San Jose Museum of Quilts and Textiles, sjquiltmuseum.org. And way to go, Camille. I mean, that's amazing. That's amazing. So I wanted to tell you that. Now, there's one other thing that you should know. I'm going to put this link in the chat. Oh, sorry about all those. Oh, wait, what am I doing? Okay. Oh, yeah, you can see that. All right. Sorry about all those files still on my desktop. How embarrassing. Okay. All right, so this, I was watching this video of, this is Camille, and she was giving a talk to, hang on now. Is this place was Benny Harbor Mysteries? So, yeah, I was watching this talk called Moving Forward, The Road to Self. Who was it with? Now I am forgetting who was hosting it. We can figure that out. But Camille talks a little bit about her art here, and so I'm going to play just a little bit of it, and it's about 12 minutes, so I don't think I'll play the whole thing because we've got a lot to talk about tonight, and I knew that the intro matter and the logo discussion would be significant. So, you know, I don't want to keep you all night. But I want to show a little bit of this because as the things I was reading about Ms. Brewer, I didn't see much about her artwork. I mean, I didn't dig that deep. I read this today and I was like, oh my God, I got to share this. But there's more to her than just her academic accomplishments, which are many. So she talks in this discussion, I'll find out exactly where she was talking, but she talks and shows her art. And so I'm going to play it a little bit faster. I don't know. I mean, it's a strange thing with this show. We don't have a time limit, but I don't want people to think that, you know, Quilt Nerd is a 3-hour commitment or something. It isn't. You can come back and drop in and drop out anytime. It's all good. I don't know. I'm still learning how to do all this. But anyway, so I'm going to play this at 1.5 speed. So it'll be a little bit sped up. But there's a fair amount of next slide, please, that happens. And so I thought that would be a good choice to play it a little bit faster so we can see more of her stuff. So I want to play a little bit of this of Camille Brewer talking about her work.
Talking in general, I want to begin by thanking you, Karen, for inviting me to participate in this webinar series on American craft. I also want to thank the Center for Craft for sponsoring this and other projects which celebrate the diversity of American craft makers. I want to thank Jane and Bianca, who are behind the scenes on this call to make this all work and happen. And finally, I want to thank all of the participants for taking the time to join us in this presentation. To introduce myself and my background, I'll begin with a conversation I would regularly have with my father. Next slide. Daddy, where are we? We are in space. Space? Yes, we are in space. A place that is infinite, which has no beginning or end. Oh, okay. Next slide. So, Daddy, where do we live? We live on planet Earth. It's the only place in the heavens that we are aware of that sustains life as we know it. Okay. Next slide, please. Daddy, where's home? Craft is your home. My father painted this image of his sister Shirley's house in Los Angeles in 1967. He always had an art, design, or craft project happening in the house. Painting,
Awesome.
macrame, architectural drawings, ceramics. There was always a project in progress that needed attention. Next slide. My father's day job was as an aerospace design engineer working on the Apollo program.
How cool is
the
that?
1970s and 80s on the space shuttle program.
How cool is that? That's amazing. So, I mean, as a designer, her father was this genius designer. Anyway, I think that's really cool.
His design work focused primarily on the astronauts' living quarters. He was the first person in his family to go out and work for a company. Next slide. My father's ancestors were self-employed craft artisans dating back to 1800. This is a business card for Lafayette Brewer, my father's great-great-grandfather. He established his dyeing business in Van Wert County, Ohio in the mid-1880s. Lafayette's grandfather, both of his parents, and many of his 13...
Hang on. Do people hate the sped up thing? If you hate it, I will completely take it away. Because, yeah, I don't know. I probably could just ask you if you want it sped up. Do you want me to slow it down? How about I do this? I mean, I don't know. I sped it up because of the slide thing. But it's fine. It's fine. Look.
siblings were self-employed craft artisans. The making of objects is in the family DNA. We are American craftspeople. Next slide. My mother would take us on regular adventures through her native city of Angels. One of my favorite places to visit was the Watts Towers. It's very different now with the fence encircling the structure. However, when I was a kid, me and my brothers would climb up the structures as if the space was our very own special magical playground. Next slide. My mother would share stories of watching, as a little girl, Simon Rodea building the structures. There was so much magic in the color, the shimmering surfaces, and the texture, actual physical texture of the towers. It was a wonderful place built with all kinds of discarded materials. Next slide. My Aunt Shirley's house was directly across the street from St. Elmo's Village, an art space comprised of several one-story bungalow homes near the intersection of Pico and La Brea in Los Angeles.
That's so cool.
You can see the color vibration from the village on the house in my father's 1967 painting. Being able to be, just be, and play in the village opened my mind to creative possibilities.
By the way, I checked, and this was filmed a year ago. Well, December 29th. Oh, no, it says 1 year ago. No, that's not true. It was December 29th, 2020. And Karen Hampton was the host on her YouTube channel. Okay. Great.
Next slide. After selling my handmade silver jewelry through middle school and high school, I decided I wanted to study to become a jewelry designer. I wanted a proper craft education, so I applied and was accepted to the metalsmithing department at the college, California College of the Arts. When I attended, it was called California College of Arts and Crafts, and the crafts people were very unhappy when the school changed the name. They dropped the word crafts like it was a bad word. As in most undergraduate programs, I was required to take elective courses to complete my degree. At a friend's suggestion, Tracy Crum, as a matter of fact, I selected weaving. It was a decision that had a major impact on my trajectory as a crafts person. Next slide. So today, I'll talk about two different bodies of work, one series called Being There and the woven metal work. Next slide. I work in many series. I like series, and I'm just going to feature one today called Being There. In my adult life, I've lived in 7 U.S. states and 15 cities. I've lived on the West Coast, I've lived in the Midwest, I've lived in the South and the East Coast. I created the Being There series to tie down memory to place, to define the characteristics of physical spaces, and somehow note the impact that all of it had on me.
I mean,
Next slide.
Isn't it great that, like, this person, well, and you're going to see her work, but this person's going to run a quilt and textile museum? It's like, yes.
These coordinates describe the location of the city of Detroit on the Earth's surface. These numeric coordinates have now become a symbol for place and are proudly displayed on the newest Detroit urban streetwear. Placemaking and magic happen where perpendicular lines meet and intersect. Next slide. Very much like cloth, magic happens where the lines intersect to create pattern at a distinct point on the cloth surface. Next slide. So to create the series, I began looking at maps. Urban planners design linear structures that define space and maintain a grid-like structure regardless of the topography of the landscape. This example of a map of downtown Chicago illustrates well how the urban grid overrides the nature of the Chicago River and does not curve with the contours of Lake Michigan. And you can see a little bit of that in the upper right-hand corner of these quadrants.
Wow.
I
never thought about how a city grid like that, like Chicago, where I am right now, is like warp and weft. I don't know if she's going to talk about that. I mean, I listened to this long enough to know, like, how long she was talking about her art. But that's amazing.
Space in our minds, and we create place and culture based on intersecting lines of a grid. Next slide. Being There, Green Acres, is one in the series, and it's about Detroit. This depicts the map of the first neighborhood I lived in here in Detroit. 8 Mile runs across the top, for those of you on the call from Detroit, and Livernois runs along the left side from top to bottom. In keeping with the character of Motown, the work has an A and a B side. Therefore, either side can be presented to stand on its own. Next slide.
That's awesome. Sorry.
This is a B side, depicting a map of the major roads in Metro Detroit. It was from Green Acres that I explored the region. And it was important for me to note that in this work. I've spent so many hours, many hours traveling these roads. I remember stitching on each button and thinking of all the road trips that I've taken through all sorts of weather, snow, rain, et cetera, et cetera. Detroit is on the right. Flint is at the upper left-hand corner, and Ann Arbor is on the lower left. Next slide. All of the cloth in this work were pieces I made during my time in Detroit through the 1990s. So each piece of cloth was embedded with memory of place. In building the work, I was forced to remember how to navigate the neighborhood through placemaking because, as you can see, the streets move from a rectangular grid into curves. To this day, I still get turned around in this neighborhood. I have to sit down with a map and figure out how to get through these curves.
I love this material. I love the thickness of it, you know? I mean, it's woven. I mean, it's woven, right? It's wool. I feel very bad that I even have a question about that, but I don't know. I'm a quilter, not a textile scientist, not a textile museum director.
Next slide. And this is just a detail of Green Acres.
Cool.
Next slide. Being there, Dominguez Highlands was the first piece I created in this series. This is the place where I spent most of my childhood. The work is very large, 6 feet by 6 feet. Next slide. It's large because the place occupies a large space in my development as a person and as a maker. Just north of this neighborhood was a large Japanese-owned and operated vegetable garden. It was important for me to use a Japanese design format in this composition to tie down my memory of the relationships between our neighborhood, the Japanese community, and that particular farm. Next slide. Again, in the process of making, I'm building and engaging memory during the construction of intersections, where I remember the different families that lived on certain streets.
If you've just joined us, by the way, the woman who's speaking is Camille Ann Brewer, and she was just named the director of the San Jose Museum of Quilts and Textiles. She begins her first day on the job is May 2nd. And that's a really big deal. I mean, there's only so many quilt museums in the United States, in the whole world. And when they get a new director, it's a big deal. And I just think this person is really awesome. And so we're looking at her work that she talked about in this video in 2020 and to 2020, because she has a lot of credentials out there that are easy to find. But she's also an artist and a maker. So just a little bit more.
It's a real interesting experience because you spend so much time with the work, and it brings up, I can say, a lot of memories. Next slide. And this is a detail. I lived in the little red square, which is in the center of the piece, and the larger orange space was the elementary school I went to, directly across the street. And so it was fun to put this together.
Really going for the crisps tonight, guys. I'm hungry.
Next slide.
Sorry.
In 2010, I moved to Harlem, New York. I found a great shotgun apartment in the Hamilton Grange neighborhood, which is locally known as the Valley. However, most of my business needed to be taken care of at the top of the hill to the west, home of the City College of New York. The topography of the Upper West Side of Manhattan is quite hilly, and most days I had to figure out a way to navigate the large hill so I could get up from the Valley to Broadway and 145th Street. In this work, I wanted to illustrate the extremes of the neighborhood's topography. I also wanted to work off the wall. I didn't want it on the wall, and in a format that spoke directly to my memories of Harlem. Next slide. So I decided to create a garment. People dress in Harlem. There's a man who dresses and walks the streets every day. And I stopped him one day. I said, "You sure are wearing that swagger?" And he said, "Well, baby, that's what the ladies like." So people dress. It's important to look good and present your best out on the street. So the work is a garment. On the left, I drew a cartoon of the neighborhood's topography on the garment pattern. And on the right, in red ink, I illustrated the linear grid that was placed on a space that's anything but linear. Next slide. I added watercolor to get a sense of the color balance and just get a sense of how the color will lay on the finished garment. Next slide.
Oh my God. Okay. Mark this, note this. I did not, this is our moment. This is this moment for the show. It always happens, always. It always happens because we're going to look at Yvonne Porcella, and she does garments that look similar to what you're looking at on the left. Or, well, it's the right for me, but I think it's on the left for you. Okay, just note to self. All right, let's continue.
I decided felting the garment would provide me with the most control in creating the organic shapes and forms. Here is the large color cartoon with fleece. I did knit and crochet some wool yarn and incorporated the looped structures into the felted surface. Next slide. So here we are placing fleece or roving on the cartoon. Next slide. Next slide.
Huh.
The felted portion of this project is now complete. It's time to embroider the street grid on the surface of the cloth, and sew up the seams.
So awesome.
Next slide. So I plan to finish this project in the weeks to come. I need to sit down and think about how I want to approach the next step. Next slide.
A UFO.
Metalwork.
Okay, so
metalwork is the one thread.
So the metalwork you can explore on your own, and because we wanted to look at the textile stuff, she's really cool. She's obviously a very interesting person. I'm going to put the link in the chat for the whole talk. Yeah, she talks about the metalwork, and then she and the host continue. But yeah, it's a big deal. I wanted to share that with you. I hope that you can go to the San Jose Quilt Museum, Museum of Quilts and Textiles, when you're in the area. And yeah, I don't know. If I tell you to donate to anybody else, you're going to be like, I am out of money. And Mary needs more crisps. The crisp fund I haven't talked about yet. No, I'm kidding. There's no crisp fund. Say that 5 times fast. Crisp fund. Okay, so cool. So that's that. And now we're going to talk about Yvonne Porcella. I've been wanting to talk about Yvonne Porcella for a while. And I haven't, because I wanted to organize my thoughts and organize the program in a thoughtful way, because people like Yvonne Porcella, oh, I'm going to get a little bit bigger. Help, I'm going, ah! Little Alice in Wonderland moment there. So Yvonne Porcella is like Jean Ray Laurie, is like Questa Benberry, is like Mary Kate Waldvogel. I mean, people have done a lot and are sort of loom large in the quilt story in America. And it's like Nancy Crow and like Faith Ringgold. Like, how do I put together a Quilt Nerd segment on people who are like literally, I mean, they just have a huge body of work. Let's just start with that. They have a huge body of work. They did a lot of things. And so it's kind of overwhelming. But I was looking at my books and I saw this book. And this book, which by the way is, oh, dang it. Hang on one second. Hang on. Nobody go anywhere. So let me tell you a story while I do this. When I was interviewing Rod Kirikoff at QuiltCon this past year, I asked him about his proudest accomplishments, and he was really great. If you saw the chat, if you saw the talk, you will know that he didn't want to make it all about him and his accomplishments. He wanted to make the talk about how he could encourage others and sort of pass along wisdom or things that he knew, knowledge that he had gained over the course of his career so far. And so I didn't ask him about, oh, what did you do? I did my best to make it about his experience, his unconventional life, and so forth. But at the end of the interview, I asked him what were his proudest accomplishments. What was he really proud of in his life? And he said that this book, which, if you want to purchase it, and you'll want to by the end of this episode, he said this book was one of his proudest accomplishments because Rod Kirikoff is responsible for this book. I'm an Abe Books affiliate, so if you want to purchase this book, which is out of print, if you want to purchase it, you can go through that link, quiltnerd.link/Yvonne, and get a copy. So Rod Kirikoff published this, and I'm going to show you. So this is the cover of this book, and we're going to talk about Yvonne as we go through some of the images of this book. Threadist asks, is there still a book on quilter biographies cooking on the back burner? There is, Threadist. There is. And the first thing that's going to happen is the sample chapter, which is on Bertha Mexroth. But what's happening before is this study that Molly and I are doing. But yes, there is. There will be. Thank you for asking. I always have several piles going. This is the back of the book. I wanted to show you the back of the book. This book is beautiful. It is a beautiful piece of work. It was published in 1986. And so I scanned the back and I scanned the front. So this is the front. Gorgeous. And this is the back. And this is my copy. Uh-oh. Let me just scoot myself over here. Whoa! That is the inscription. This was my mom's copy. And she gave this to me, and it was inscribed for Marianne, or to Marianne from Yvonne. So 1987. That's pretty cool, huh? Isn't that kind of cool? It's okay to call them legends. Yeah, exactly. I think so too. Robin's Nest, I'm with you, with Camille. So so that's really neat, isn't it? That it was my mom's book and now it's mine, and and I can share it with you. That's the whole point. 1986 is the year S.J. Pepper was born. I think that was playing when you were born. Quilt Made the Year You Were Born is on my bingo card, and I'm using this. Really? That's a really good bingo card. That's really good. Okay, approved. So it's a crack up. So here is this is the front page. And then I took this and I kept my fingers in the scan because I really love a scan where you can see people's pictures, and you'll notice a tab. There is a paper tab up at the top, which I also love. I love a tab. You can see produced by Roderick Kirikoff there on the opposite side of the title page. And I just think that's really neat. I think that's really cool. This is one of the things he was most proud of. He produced this book. It was not a Quilt Digest Press project. It was him. And that's kind of a neat moment in quilt history, okay? And the book itself is beautiful. I mean, look at all these little lines of color, sort of dashing around. And it's pretty awesome. And so as I show you pages from this book, and then after the scans from this book, I have more work by Yvonne. And while I go through them, I'm going to read to you. It's story time. It's story time. Hey, Quilted Out! Graduated high school in 1986. Girl, I was right behind you, about a decade, 1997. So we probably had some of the same haircuts. You know what I'm saying? We probably both had a perm at the same time. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for coming. Okay, see you, Myra. You arrived at your monthly sewing group. So fun. And there's a show and tell tonight. You gotta go show your stuff. Myra, we adore you. Thanks for coming. You're 6, so on. So I'm going to read to you. There's 2 things I have for you. Number 1, I have this book, of course. Okay. And I also have the Quilters Hall of Fame book, 42 Masters Who Have Shaped Our Art. And that, if you're interested in purchasing, it's a pretty good one. It's a pretty good one to have. quiltnerd.link/Hall of Fame. Just, in case you're interested. A lot of these books are very inexpensive. They're like $5, or some of them, though, are expensive because they're more rare. But I have Yvonne Porcella's entry ready with a tab. And I also have this whole book, but there's not a lot of text in this Kirikoff book. They showed great restraint. And so what there is a foreword, which I will read to you. It's very brief. And then there's an introduction by Yvonne herself. And what I'd like to ask you, I won't do an official poll because we don't need to take that time. But what I'd like to do is ask you, would you like to hear Yvonne's introduction? So put a 1 in the chat if you'd like to hear from Yvonne, her introduction, or if you'd like to hear more of a biographical sketch of her from the Quilters Hall of Fame. Would you like to know about her life? Would you like to hear her thoughts? So if you'd like to hear her thoughts from this, put a 1 in the chat. I'll just get a quick sense of what you want. And then if you'd like to hear sort of the story of her life in the Quilters Hall of Fame, put a 2 in the chat. Okay, we've got a 1. Dee Marie wants the bio. Well, here's the good news. I'll skim the bio after this because we do want to know, when did she start, where was she from, and so forth. Okay, great. And Padma. Okay, D. Marie and Padma. C. All of the above. Okay, yeah, we can do that too. All right, so here is the introduction. I'm not going to tell you who wrote this introduction until the end because I feel like it's a big reveal. All these things are brief. They're not too long. I like to know when Eric wants to read me something. He's like, "Can I read you something?" I need to know, what am I getting into? Is this a chapter of a book? You know, is it like a caption? Tell me. Okay. This is the introduction. Hold on. Anyway, oh yeah, this is the introduction. It's one page. Okay. Forward to the book. I want to read everything. I'm going to read everything. Okay. Forward. Most artists are recognized by their styles. We can identify their works anywhere. We know without looking for identification when we see a quilt by Jan Myers or Sonia Lee Barrington or Michael James. We know Michael James. I don't know Sonia Lee Barrington. I know Jan Myers Newberry, and some of you will too, but these are people for the Quilt Nerd show. Okay. We also know when we see a quilt of Yvonne Porcella's. Color saturates her style so thoroughly that perhaps we identify her work more through color than any single aspect of design. Intrepid is the word that for me best describes Yvonne's approach. She is fearless. There is no timidity in her work. Her combinations are exuberant and energetic. A visual review of her work makes it obvious that she adheres to no set rules or theories. She is not confined by what someone may have decreed is a good color combination. Combining colors that sometimes startle us into new ways of seeing, she works from an apparently limitless palette. She has no set combinations, and yet it is her special and unique way of combining colors that creates the dazzling effects. Whether dramatic, dynamic, delicate, or subtle, or several of these simultaneously, we know that here is a colorist who recognizes no arbitrary or academic limitations on her choices. Sorry, got a really good detail of this here from the book. It's all from the book, this Porcella book. Wow. Yvonne's grasp of color was evident in her early weaving. Oh my God, another weaver. Camille was a weaver. Ms. Brewer is a weaver. Weird. When I first met her at a weaver's conference, the author writes, it was like finding a kindred soul, someone who loved color and embraced it joyously. She wore it and used it with imagination and zest. No color was ever allowed to be lazy. Each was required to do its full share, to function completely. No color was just there as a passive element. It was there because it was working. The art of weaving seems to me to be the most like painting. Threads of color mix, like the dots to the pointillist paintings or the strokes of color in the Impressionist works. Depth and richness grow out of combinations of interacting colors. A red composed of 5 variations of red contains an impact of color that is more vibrant, alive, and rich than any single red can be. Yvonne's background in weaving seems to have influenced her color choices in her present work. The impact of her color creates excitement, visually and emotionally. Just when we think our rods and cones verge on overstimulation, they encounter repose. The contrast refreshes. It is this ability to move from one effect to another to create responses that run the gamut from peaceful to explosive that most typifies Yvonne's work. She helps us all experience the overwhelming brilliance and power of color. And that was written by Jean Ray Laurie. My quilt spirit mother. You know Jean Ray Laurie. You know? Okay, so let's continue. This is from Yvonne. Introduction. Yvonne writes, when I am teaching, the most frequent questions... Oh, pardon me. I should have mentioned. Yvonne Porcella passed away. I just looked this up. I don't want to say it wrong. Forgive me one second. I don't want to say it wrong. 2016. Yeah, 2016. Okay. And we'll know more about her life when we look at her biography, but she passed away in 2016. All right. Okay. Let me, back to Yvonne. When I am teaching, the most frequent questions I am asked are, how do you begin your designs for a quilt or garment? Or where do you get your ideas? Or how do you know which colors to put together? This kills me, this thing. It's just amazing. Okay. This book will attempt to answer those questions. In 1962, I began to explore the world of fiber art as a beginning weaver. I wanted to make my own fabric so I could sew a one-of-a-kind garment. My thought was that if I created fabric, no one else in the world would have an outfit like mine. At that time, I knew nothing of color or fiber or weaving. Little by little, I learned the art of weaving, the mechanics of the loom, and how to make a successful fabric. I must admit, my first attempt was less than perfect because I did not know the mechanics of color. I learned by trial and error. As I began to look around me, I found other hand-woven fabrics that I liked. Look at this, you guys. It's so great. Sorry. I began to examine the sources of their appeal. I explored the color combinations of thread and pattern weaves. It was at this time I began to collect textiles from other cultures. Textile collecting led me to an interest in how garments were made from hand-woven fabrics. So began a modest collection of folk costumes. The folk garments educated me in basic garment construction. I believe my current expertise in garments and quilt making stems from these early interests in fabric and costumes. Wow. So one thing that you'll see soon is that Porcella, these kimonos, right? We talk about these a lot. We're like, what's going on, with these particular pieces? This Yvonne Porcella was one of the people who, so she was doing the kimono stuff a lot, as you'll see. So look at these. Yeah. There are many areas of the world, and sorry, so I'm reading and I'm not seeing some of the chat. So if you want to get my attention, it might take me a minute, but I think you guys are okay. You know what's going on here. There are many areas of the world with textiles and garments. You see, it's all strip piecing, isn't it? Isn't that great? Okay, sorry. There are many areas of the world with textiles and garments that are particularly interesting to me. Inspiration comes from these different cultures. It's hard to say which I like best, but Japanese textiles, as well as those from Afghanistan and the Russian steppes, make up a large part of my collection. In 1974, I got a room of my own. Virginia Woolf, perhaps, allusion. A workspace for my exclusive use. That meant I would no longer sew standing up at the laundry counter or using the dining room table to cut out fabric. My family has been very supportive of my work. Therefore, I wanted a studio in my home so that I could be creative but still be part of family activities. My studio is a large room upstairs, over the family room. Entry is by a spiral stairway from the kitchen. It is definitely my room. Oh my God, look at this. Look at this garment. Yeah. I have filled it with paraphernalia that inspire me. Having my own workspace has allowed me the freedom to be creative and grow as an artist. My ideas for garments or quilts appear to flow from some nebulous place, but on close examination, my inspirations can be traced to those objects which I have collected, those which fill my studio and my home. When putting together this book, I assembled many of the items that have influenced my work. You guys, this thing is amazing. Amazing. Wow. Yeah, exactly. She started it, yeah. I've assembled many of the items that have influenced my work. These are set up in composite photographs so the viewer can trace the origin of an idea. Along with ethnic textiles and garments, I have managed to add a few old quilts to my collection. How do I select them? I do gravitate toward quilts with a 1-inch postage stamp patchwork design, interesting, such as a 9-patch. If the price is within my budget or the quilt has prairie points around the edge, like the giveaway quilt, or the quilt needs a good home, I need it. It's also likely to find its way into my collection if the quilt is unusual. A silk patchwork or double-sided quilt with patchwork designs on either the front or the back. In other words, although I know I should have certain rules for buying old quilts, I often can't resist a particular quilt and have to find a reason for adding it to my collection. I know a few of you do that too. And by the way, what you're looking at here, like this book is really beautiful because there are these moments of like meditation. Like it's like just a color meditation. This is what's on the opposite side of this page, you know, just this sort of flying thing. Yeah. Okay. I enjoy, okay, I'm going to skip a little bit, just kind of jump around a little bit. I enjoy traditional Japanese art and textiles. My favorite book is The Tale of Genji by Murasaki Shikibu, written in the 11th century. I like to open this book at random and read from the many color-inspiring passages. When I began to use bright colors in clothing, I also included black and white. This was to give the eye a place to rest. I love the use of black and white in textiles in my collection. Black and white still appear frequently in my designs, though I don't have any fixed rules about using them. I found myself working with certain color combinations during various times in my life. That's interesting. As a weaver, I had my red period, when I wove everything to coordinate with a particular red dress. This was followed by a lengthy rainbow period. I believe I am still involved with rainbows. Oh my God, look at this thing. Oh my God. And I still find it difficult to escape red. I enjoy using rainbow colors in my work, even if the piece is basically black and white. The rainbow colors add life. I think I have, look at that. Wow. Wow. L. Riggs, great question. Anyone else just feel meh about a certain style? And then we dive deep and learn more about the creator, and all of a sudden you're in love and can't imagine who that crazy body snatcher was who didn't like it 1,000%. I mean, that. Yes, L. Riggs, like 1,000%. I mean, I did not like Yvonne Porcella, but I didn't know she was doing stuff in pastel until I looked at this book. You know, it's like, this is wild. I mean, I thought Yvonne Porcella was like red kimonos, you know, like this, you know, and it was awesome and it's great. But look at this. We're like in an elegant Muppet. We're in an elegant Muppet. You know what I mean? It's fabulous. I don't love anything more than Muppets, so like that's the highest compliment. Okay, let me, oh, there's not too much. Okay, so let me go to here. I began painting silk fabrics for use in quilts and garments because I wanted an alternative to dyeing fabrics with synthetic dye stuffs. That's interesting. Here's another color meditation. Yeah, exactly, Elric. Yeah, exactly. Kimonos were like, what? And then there are some other kimonos, Kenny, that I would 1,000% wear, and some other things that we're going to see. I should probably go through these pictures actually a little bit faster because there are a lot of them. This is a detail of some of them. But this is interesting because here, you know, some people maybe out there, you don't want to dye anything because it's a mess. But she says, I began painting silk fabrics for use in quilts and garments because I wanted an alternative to dyeing fabrics with synthetic dye stuffs. I wanted an easier way to color fabric quickly. Oh my God, look at this kimono. When selecting fabric for painting, I paint on anything that is white, be it cotton, silk, or wool. When I begin a piece, I start with color, picking and harmonizing fabrics to express a bold or soft statement. Red/magenta/purple/chartreuse/orange/yellow/turquoise/aubergine are the sound of colors. Just saying the word conjures up vivid impressions of colors, fabrics I might use in a quilt or garment. For me, each color has a feeling associated with it, and I use color to express my sentiments in a piece. If I use silk fabrics, which I will paint, I want soft colors that capture the feel of the silk, the luminous quality that some silk fabrics seem to have. I use peach, lavender, pink, seafoam green, mauve, pale yellow. If I want a bold statement, I use bold colors. Vivid colors, red, yellow, green, magenta, orange, and turquoise. Blue, purple, and orange. red and green. I work from an intuitive understanding of color. I believe my color sense comes from everything I've ever seen or experienced during my life. I am not fluent in the academic terminology of hue or chroma. I have not had formal art or color training. My college degree is nursing. However, as I work more with color, I wish Myra was here. As I work more with color, I find it necessary to educate myself in some of the rules and terminology. To be a serious artist, I tell myself that one should take advantage of the theories of color and learn as much as possible. There are many people who have devoted their lives to exploring the properties of color. I find it interesting to study what they have discovered about the intricate subject of color. BT dubs, this is like classic Yvonne Porcella. Like when I think of her quilts, this is what I think of. Strip piecing, diagonals, geometrics, totally saturated color, which is why when I saw the pastel stuff, I was like, wow, that's so great, you know? I didn't really know that. Okay, a little bit more here, and then we'll look at her biography in the Quilters Hall of Fame. Color physics appears complex. Oh, this is amazing. Look at these prairie points. Sorry. I had never seen this one either, and it's in this amazing book. Okay, sorry, let's go back. Color physics appears complex because it deals with the dispersion of light into colors, or the spectrum of light waves. A good understanding of color used in fabric arts can be learned without all this complexity. Colors can cause an emotional response, and in this study is the psychology of color. If you ever wonder why some advertising companies choose certain colors for a business logo, they do so because in each society there are certain colors which evoke certain responses. Red, for instance, is the color of fire and blood, magic and sorcery. It is the most sensual, and it is the symbol of life. Red attracts attention. It is used to make us stop. Blue is the color of the sky and the ocean. Blue is the maternal color. Blue is cool and restful. Green is the color of living things. It is eternal life. It is also the color to make us go. I included this at the end here of the book because it is at the end of the book, so she gives you some tutorials too at the end of the book, which is lovely. For the fabric artist, it is necessary to understand. Okay, yeah, this is perfect. We're at the end of the Kirikoff book, and I'm reaching the end of the introduction, but I'm going to go on and give you all the pictures that I culled from the internet as well. Okay. For the fabric artist, it is necessary to understand some of the basics of color theory and then experiment with the medium chosen, which is fabric in our case. I think it is important to have a working knowledge of primary, secondary, and tertiary colors, warm and cool, tints and shades, complements, harmonies, contrasts, and value. The simplest way to begin is to purchase a color wheel from a local art and supply store. Study the wheel and all of its combinations. I found it valuable to actually paint color exercises. It's the physical process of mixing colors to match the color wheel that educates us about the actual components of each individual color. This book does not pretend to cover color theory. There are many books by masters whose work on color is recognized as an authority. The purpose of this book is for you to enjoy looking at my personal expressions of color. I've divided the book into groupings of some of my favorite color combinations. The informational section of this book includes fabric painting and some of the techniques for achieving interesting surface design. This book is my work, my inspirations, my colors. This last quilt just went over the. This one is not included in the book. This one is a really good one in this book, which is really great. Sorry, I'll put it in the chat because I did make a link for this. We looked at this book when we looked at Ed Larson. It's America Enshrined. I know the green screen doesn't like it very much, but it's really, really good. And it's got it's got an Ed Larson quilt in it. Quilt Nerd .link/enshrined. Oh, it's really good, you guys. So here's what she says about this. This is Yvonne Porcella, which to me, it's interesting. It's very pictorial. I mean, she did do some of that, which we'll see. Here's what she says about this. This was made in 1989, and it's called I Heart America. Love is a beautiful word. that says so much in just 4 letters. In our accelerated society, love has been shortened to a symbol of a red heart. Whenever I see a bumper sticker with a red heart, I find myself reading it literally. I red heart my Harley, or I red heart California. It seemed appropriate to enshrine that famous red heart in my quilt. I heart America. I red heart America. The heart is being honored here with vases of flowers. Inside the heart are symbols of what America loves. The heavenly layer of the quilt, the top, portrays a higher realm of devotion found only when you travel through those golden gates. That little catalog is one of my favorite things on my bookshelf. It's very cool. Okay, so I'll just read you, this is a little bit from the Quilters Hall of Fame book, because Yvonne Porcella is in the Quilters Hall of Fame, and I'll just show you a few more. Don't read ahead exactly, Raffle Waffle. All right. And I can't, I've got a lot of pictures, and so I'm gonna go a little bit more quickly because I just want you to see as much as possible. So this quilt, by the way, is Razzle Dazzle. It was made in 1981, and it's one of her most famous. I mean, I feel like I've seen Razzle Dazzle a lot of places, like in a lot of books and a lot of like best of or art quilt books and things. Razzle Dazzle. And look at these prairie points. They're so great. They're so great. She was like, I love a prairie point. Can't stay away. Can't stay away. Okay. Oh yeah, and this is a book. Pieced Clothing. I didn't think about an affiliate link for this. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Pieced Clothing. Go for it. Oh wait. I do have, yeah, I did say for the Yvonne book, it's quiltnerd.link/Yvonne for the Kirikoff book. Anyway, okay. Let me get going. Another book by Yvonne. Okay, so this is by Allison B. Stanfield. Let's just learn a little bit about Yvonne before we sign off. I love this show. This has been a great time. Yvonne Porcella laughs when she remembers her first quilt, which she made as a wedding gift in 1963. She says, quote, "I'm grateful there is no record of that quilt," unquote, recalling that it was made of 2 sheets and was tied rather than quilted. She has come a long way. She grew up as Yvonne Beckis in Watsonville, California, south of San Francisco. One of those California art quilters, I'm telling you. Her memories do not include a family member who quilted. Instead, she calls her family inventive, adding, quote, "It was common for us, if we wanted something, to make it, whatever it was." Her father had a wood-burning business, while her mother taught Yvonne and her sister how to sew and knit. Look at this. I love this. Thanks, Raffle. Yes. There are videos. Yeah, totally. Oh God. You know what, Kenny? Is Kenny the one who said he could see me, gallivanting around the house in a kimono? This is what I want. I want it. I will wear it. I don't know. So this pattern was called How Old Are You Now? I didn't have years on some of this. Some of this is from her website, which is still up. God, I love it. Oh, those shoes. Yeah. Okay. Upon graduation, Yvonne entered the University of San Francisco, where she received her bachelor's degree in nursing in 1958. This is fabulous. That same year, she married Robert Porcella, who practiced family medicine. She gave up nursing in 1979, but keeps her license current. Nice. Yvonne is a workaholic, exceedingly devoted to whatever she's doing until its completion. So Yvonne passed away in 2016, and this was published in 2011. While raising 4 children in the 1960s, yes, everything about this, yes. I love it. By the way, can I just say that, this whole office, because I'm at the co-working space, right, in our office, the whole place is empty except for the people who have the office next to us. Who works late? I work late doing this show, and they work late. They design t-shirts. Well, I'm not saying they shouldn't work late or they don't make awesome t-shirts or whatever, but really, the one office we rent on this entire floor of a building in Chicago, we rent the office next to the guys who stay until 9 p.m. What are they doing, a live stream or something? Oh, what I was going to say earlier is that Eric and I just saw a microphone that's coming out. You pre-order it or something that is very good at minimizing all outside sound. And I said, I think we should get one because with the sirens, you know, and like the people in the office. So working on it. I never stop working all the time. All right, let's continue. Okay. Look at this. Isn't this great? It's so avant-garde. While raising 4 children in the 60s, she continued to sew and make clothes for her family. She grew tired of making clothes only to see the same fabric on someone else. So she decided to make her own fabric, teaching herself to weave on a child's loom. Really? That's so awesome. She grew increasingly serious about her creative endeavors and carried her spinning wheel and loom around to local fairs and craft shows. Really? I mean, that's legit. She became deeply involved with her North Carolina hand weavers, and the wearable art movement that had its roots in the Haight-Ashbury districts of San Francisco. When I say you see the whole world when you look at quilts, you do. I did not know that the wearable art movement had its roots on the Haight-Ashbury. Cool. Her woven textiles became garments, and when she realized that heavy fabrics were too hot to wear, she added patchwork to her repertoire and used the hand-woven pieces as focal points in her quote-unquote collage garments. Is this fascinating or is this fascinating? I mean, why did we wait to do Yvonne Porcella? In 1972, Yvonne's first gallery exhibition highlighted her weavings, wow, and wearable art. That's kind of scary. Oh, God. The wearables were based on ethnic clothing brought home by returning Peace Corps volunteers. She mixed patterns and materials from Japan, Guatemala, Germany, and Afghanistan to create unique garments that appropriated geometric patterns in the deep indigos and reds from the cloth from those countries. Yvonne's first book, 5 Ethnic Patterns, was published in 1977, followed the next year by +5 Ethnic Patterns. In the late 70s, she brightened her palette and focused more on patchwork for garment construction. Wow, look at that. Wow. Ooh. She also started experimenting with silk. Pure, lively colors replaced the deep, rich tones of the ethnic clothing tradition. A number of Yvonne's garments, pure, lively colors replaced the deep, rich tones. I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, have you seen Raleigh quilts? Like, there's literally hot pink in them, you know? So, I don't know, whatever. So, in 1971, Yvonne attended the West Coast Quilters Conference in Portland, Oregon, where she met with quilt artist Beth Gutchin. We know Beth Gutchin. Remember Jeff Gutchin and Beth Gutchin? One of my favorite shows of all time. We know about those people. We've been new about the Gutchins. Okay. And she met Virginia Avery, Jenny Beyer, Jeffrey Gutchin, Michael James. Soon she was working on her first art, tacouage, which is now in the collection of the Renwick Gallery of the National Museum of American Art. Very nice. That's at the Smithsonian. Okay. She remembers her feelings upon its completion. Quote, "There's no one in the world that's made a quilt like this. I was so frightened that people would think I was over the top because it was so different." Unquote. Known primarily for her use of color, Yvonne has taken her art quilts to two seemingly separate directions. Vintage Porcella quilts such as tacouage contain vibrant colors. By the way, this is a classic Porcella. I feel like this is everywhere. Like, I just see this particular work in a lot of places. What's it called? It's called When All the Colors Come Dancing, 1983. It's 72 by 48. It's at the Los Angeles County Museum of Art. Okay. Known primarily for her use... The piecework in these early art quilts is an extension of the way she had approached her wearables, in which colors, patterns, and cultures were mixed without regard for rightness. Rhythm is an important element and is achieved through the careful selection of patterns and colors. Polka dots, stripes, florals, and solids are combined to create a surface energized by complex textures. Okay, so she talks about... they talk about her books and things, and she's got different ones. The other side, so I'm going to skip a little bit. This is interesting. It's darling. It's just darling. The other side, the classical one of Yvonne Porcella, encompasses quilts created with lyrical translucent colors inspired by the Japanese floating world, quote-unquote, ukiyo-e Ukiyo-e, Ukiyo-e. The Tale of Genji. It's Genji, right? It's not no, it's Genji. A 10th century Japanese novel. The other book said it was 11th century. Just FYI. Novel by Murasaki Shikibu is the strongest source of inspiration for these quilts, which are magically transformed from hand-dyed and hand-painted silks that mimic the most beautiful formation of the earth, sky, and sea. This is interesting. This is from a blog I found. This is called The Power of Yellow. So very different. I have a little bit about that for you. Okay, so I'm gonna bring you to bring it to the bridge here. Take it to the bridge. She started Sakwa. She started Sakwa, the Studio Art Quilt Association. She was the one who started Sakwa, you guys. I mean, I feel like that's kind of like, I kind of saved the biggest thing for last because she literally was the one who started Sakwa. So this is here we go. Yvonne is a tireless advocate for the art quilt movement through her teaching, writing, and curating, and is amazingly generous with her ideas and advice. This is fabulous. I gotta say, I really enjoy it. In 1989, she founded Studio Art Quilt Associates, Sakwa, a nonprofit organization dedicated to educating the public, documenting the art quilt movement, and advocating the recognition of quilts as art. The organization sponsors annual educational conferences and consults on regional and national exhibitions while encouraging critical writing. Nice. Yvonne proved her commitment to the mission of Sakwa by continuing as president of the board of directors until 2000 at the request of its members. The cause isn't finished, since she remains troubled by the lack of serious attention given to fiber artists by collectors, galleries, and museums. She sees a great deal of work ahead for all involved. Yvonne is a favorite speaker across the country. Hey, Uden Jules. Jules. Can I call you Jules? I'm glad you followed. Turn on your notifications so you know when we go live. Check us out. You know we have a good time around here. Yvonne is a favorite speaker across the country. Remember, this was published in 2011. She passed away in 2016. She has shared her talents with students in Japan, France, Germany, Australia, and Switzerland. By the way, this one is the lining of one of the coats with the skeleton. In 1998, she was selected as one of a handful of artists to represent the United States in the 9th International Triennial of Tapestry in Poland. In conclusion, her honors include the Silver Star Award presented by Quilts Inc. at the Quilt Festival in 1998. She has a quilt in one of America's best 100 quilts of the 20th century, which I found a copy of. We'll look at some point. And she was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1998. And I kind of can't believe it, but that's the last picture that I have in my slideshow for you tonight. I did not plan it that way. I asked you what you wanted to hear. But I reached the end of the thing. And that's the last picture. Pretty cool. Now, I don't know what has gone in the chat because I had my nose in a book. So interesting, right? Isn't she interesting? Yeah, I know. Oh, Word and Bird Nerd. I you know what I think with the guys next door? It's so annoying. What I think is, I feel like they think that I am on a call. Like that I care so much about my Zoom calls that I have like lights and a microphone and a soundboard. It's crazy. But I think that yeah, I think it'll be fun. I think the mic will be good though. So yeah, you are so welcome. I think oh no, Pemberito was timed out. Oh my god. Oh, maybe there was, I don't know what happened. Okay, so everybody, that is the show tonight. I hope you had a good time. I definitely had a good time. I really enjoyed talking about Yvonne Porcella, and why didn't it happen before? IBTI Hall 98. IBT Hall 98. Thanks for following. We do this show 3 times a week. Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Central, Thursday night at 7 p.m. Central, and Saturdays at 8 p.m. And we do some other stuff sometimes, depending on what kind of energy I have and what other things I have to do. But I love this, and the community that we have around here is I just love hanging out with you. And if you're new and we're like, if SJ Pepper, is like up to no good in the chat, and we're joking about that, and we have kind of like these, these funny sound cues, and we joke around. It's just because we've been hanging out together, and we've really been on this journey together. But don't be shy, because we're just, I don't know, we're all really nice, and we really love new people. Like, you'll be welcomed and cherished. You'll be cherished. You don't ever have to get in the chat, but if you do, that'd be great, because we'd love to talk to you, because you're probably pretty nerdy. If you stick around, you probably are. So I'll see you all soon. I hope you enjoyed the show. Yeah, it was fun, wasn't it? Did they know Mary's an internet celebrity? Listen, internet celebrity, not all it's cracked up to be. Oh yeah. Thanks, Robin's Nest. Oh, my mods are great. Join join American Quilt Study Group. I'll bet you Yvonne was a member, but Quilt Nerd 15 $15 off a year-long membership. It's really worth it. And I'm a member. Let's go tell them how Quilt Nerd's really supposed to, how it works. You know what I'm saying? I really need a shower. Okay, gotta go. Okay, love you guys. I'll see you on Thursday.